Yo, what's going on, YouTube, and welcome to Goal Line Hockey. It's your boy Kevin Forte. We are taking a look today at the top available players potentially for this year's 2021 free agency class. We'll be taking a look at the guys that may be available this coming offseason. We'll be taking a look at that in this video. If you guys like what we're doing here at Goal Line Hockey, want to see the latest news around the NHL, you guys know what to do. Make sure you give this video a big thumbs up and even bigger subscribe and help us get to the road to 1K subscribers, guys. We're getting pretty close to that. But let's get right into this video. Alright, so we are going to be taking a look at the top top six names in this year's upcoming free agency draft class here in 2021. And some of the names you guys already know, and some of them you may not. So I figure, why not? Let's do a little, take a look, and even maybe make some predictions. We'll see how smart I am in a couple months, guys. So let's see how this goes. So we're going to start things off at number 6. We've got the Edmonton Oilers. That's why I'm wearing the Oilers jersey today. 28-year-old forward. Cannot believe he is that old already. Ryan NugentHopkins. He's a winger. He's a center. He's a very versatile player. Whenever he's in my GM mode, I always try and pick up Nuge because he's a really skilled guy. He picks up points. He makes the players around he makes his teammates around him better. He can play on the first line, the second line. He can play center, wing, wherever. He's a unbelievably skilled utility knife, and he could go anywhere. And I really think, he makes a difference on the power play. And this is a guy that he's gonna get some money. Now, looking at his cap hit going into this season, he's making $6 million. I believe it was a 6-year contract that he came out of. I think he signed it when he was 22, right? That makes sense. When he was 19. That would make sense. Maybe even 21, whatever the case. I think he signed a 6-year, $6 million contract when he signed it. And he's probably not going to be making that much more money, if I'm going to be honest. He's going to make some money, but he's not going to make much more. He could make $6 to $6.5 million. It depends on the team that he's with as well. Let's also remember that. Ryan NugentHopkins is not like that superstar player, I would say, especially where he's at in Edmonton. He's in a perfect role in Edmonton. He sits quietly behind Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. He's not getting the opponent's best players all the time, but when he plays that second or third line, team that he's up against, he does really well and he excels and he's better than most of those second. He's a really, really, really good middle six center or winger. My opinion, do I think he's going to return to Edmonton? I think they're going to have to do everything in their power to keep Nuge. I think without Nuge, this is a team that already struggles with depth in their forward core. You can't really afford to lose Ryan NugentHopkins. And the salary cap may make things a little more difficult for Edmonton. But I think, like I said, if Ken Holland wants this team to be successful here pretty quickly, they need to keep a guy like Nuge around. Trying to find their cap. Of course I can't find it. Where are the Edmonton Oilers? Did they fall off the map or something? Okay, there they are. No, I don't want to see. So they have no cap space right now. And going into next season, it doesn't really change that much. You look at their cap hit going into next year. They have $24 million in cap space. But you also have to remember they have a plethora of guys they have to re-sign. Let's take a look. Probably going to have Evan Bouchard, who's going to need some money. But that's 2 years down the road. Let's take a look. I mean, maybe Jujhar Khaira. I don't know. He had a rough training camp. Maybe not. Stuart Skinner is coming off of his ELC this summer, so that's a guy. Tyson Barrie, Chris Russell, Adam Larson. So that money's going to get eaten up pretty quickly. Kailer Yamamoto, the final year of his ELC. Who else? And Ryan NugentHopkins. So, that money could be allocated to Nuge. I would say that's pretty important right now. And if they want to keep Tyson Barrie, that's great. Adam Larson, whatever. but they're going to have to find a way to keep Ryan Nugent-Hopkins in that group. So do I think he'll stay? I think he's going to stay with the Edmonton Oilers on a nice long-term deal. At number 5 is Taylor Hall, who was a former draft pick with Ryan Nugent-Hopkins up in Edmonton during the oil change. And he is 29 years old, so he's a year older than Nuge, and drafted first overall the year before him. His cap hit coming in this season, he signed a 1-year, $8 million deal with Buffalo last offseason. And this is a guy that, he's one of those names that he sounds like a household name, but he doesn't always show that prowess. And he did win the Hart Trophy as MVP of the year with the New Jersey Devils on that crazy run they went with the Devils. He dragged that team into the postseason. Can he do that again? I don't know. I don't know if he's going to be able to do that with Buffalo, but he has a lot more of a supporting cast in Buffalo. Victor Olofsson and Jack Eichel on the top line. That's pretty solid. He has some depth guys he could play alongside at some point this season. Guys like Dylan Cousins, Jeff Skinner, Eric Stahl. So, there is potential there in Buffalo. Will he want to resign there? I think he likes playing with Ralph Krueger. That's why he came to Buffalo. And the grass isn't always greener on the other side, and I think he's in a really good spot right now with Buffalo. He's playing well. We'll see how it looks at the end of the year. This is a tougher one to decide where he's going to land. Will he stay in Buffalo? I'm going to go with he will. I think he'll stay in Buffalo. This is just a trial because he's had his situations in Jersey, in Edmonton, and Arizona where he's like, all right, I wish I had a little bit of time to figure this out before I really, figured out long-term if I want to be here. I think that's his situation with Buffalo. He's taking a risk on himself only signing the 1-year deal. He had bigger offers on the table. So I think he likes it in Buffalo. I think he genuinely likes Ralph Krueger. And I think we are going to see this be a long-term fit in Buffalo. It solves 2 issues. Taylor Hall gets to play with a superstar player, and Jack Eichel gets a superstar winger potentially in Taylor Hall. So I think it's a good fit for both sides. At number 4, we've got 34-year-old goaltender Tuukka Rask, and he is making $7 million right now on the cap hit this season. He's definitely not going to be making that money next season, especially if he wants to stay in Boston. Do I think he'll stay in Boston? That's another question. The Boston Bruins are weird. They may be looking at one of their depth goaltenders to come in next year. I think we're going to see a little bit of changing of the guard in between the pipes for them. Yaroslav Halak signed another 1-year deal. I think he's out the door this offseason. So I think there's going to be some changes. I wouldn't be surprised if a team like Edmonton took a waiver on Tuukka Rask this offseason. If they have enough cap space, I think they'd be interesting. LA would be another interesting team. The Anaheim Ducks may be in a backup role. If Ryan Miller doesn't come back, would that draw interest? Maybe even the San Jose Sharks. How interesting would that be? So I think there's an opportunity for Tuukka Rask to leave. I wouldn't be surprised if he left the Boston Bruins. I think the Edmonton Oilers or the San Jose Sharks would be fierce competitors for a guy like Tuukka Rask next offseason. At number 3, we've got Gabe Landeskog. He's making around $5.5 million per season right now. Signed a beautiful contract. He's 28 years old, the captain of the Avalanche, playing alongside Nate McKinnon and Mikko Rantanen, playing on that unbelievable line. Probably one of the best lines in the NHL, if we're going to be quite honest. Landeskog is going to stay in Colorado. I truly believe that. And I think he's going to want to sign a long-term deal, just like everybody else. Nate McKinnon at his 6.5. He'll probably get around 7 to 7.5. Gabe Landeskog, I would assume. He's just been such a good player for this team. He's consistently in the lineup. Knock on wood, hasn't had much injury issues. I really like Gabe Landeskog. He's been a great captain for this team. I really hope he stays in Colorado. But we're going to play the fun game. Let's say if he leaves Colorado, where could I see him potentially going? I think a team on the West Coast would be interested on him. We're talking about LA, Arizona potentially if they have the cap space. San Jose and the Anaheim Ducks I think could be waivers on that, especially with the amount of interest they had in Pierre-Luc Dubois over the last couple of weeks. I think there's interest in a star player out there on the West Coast. We could potentially see that. And a guy like Gabe Landeskog if he decides to leave the Avalanche. So now we're up to the top 2. At number 2, I'm surprised at number 2, but not necessarily. At number 2 is 28-year-old defenseman Dougie Hamilton. Dougie Hamilton, a former first-round pick of the Boston Bruins back in the day. His cap hit right now is 5.75. That might go down just slightly. He's really been a game changer in Carolina. He was a good defenseman in Calgary, but there's always been this underlying skepticism that teams don't want him because he's not a team player. When they do hold events with the team and stuff, he's not very social with that stuff, and he's just kind of a weird cat in that regard. And he's not a bad, it's not a knock on him. It's just the kind of guy he is, and I think we're seeing that a little bit with Dougie Hamilton. I think he'd be a great fit somewhere. He's a really good defenseman, a good puck-moving defenseman, and he's going to put up points. He's going to help out on a blue line that maybe needs that stability. I immediately look at the New Jersey Devils as a candidate for a guy like that. I just think he's that kind of guy that they're looking for. I think the New Jersey Devils would be a great fit. They have the cap space, and they could use another big stud defenseman. So at number 1 is Alex Ovechkin. At number 1, he's making a little over $9.5 million per season. He's 35 years old already, and he's potentially the best goal scorer of all time. I think this is going to be put away pretty quickly. He's going to re-sign with the Caps this offseason. He wants to sign a long-term deal. He wants to stay in Washington for another 2 or 3 years, go back to Russia to retire in the KHL, and then call it a day. But I think Alex Ovechkin, he's going to re-sign with the Caps, a 2 or 3 year deal, and he's going to sign a nice contract. Probably not going to make the money he's making right now based off of where the Capitals sit with their cap hit. But Ovechkin, we know what he could do. Like I said, one of the best goal scorers of all time. He's going to stay that way, and I think he's going to get paid big by the Caps. So guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. What do you think of my predictions for these top 6 guys? Do you agree or disagree with where I think they'll land? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And if you like what we're doing here at Goal Line Hockey and want to see the latest news around the NHL, you guys know what to do. Make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and a subscribe down below. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.